You're listening to another Geek Pride podcast.
Hi everybody, Matt Geary here for the Geek Pridecast again, just a quick heads up, the last time I muted my own audio, having got here early and set everything else up. I thought, yeah, totally no mistakes this week. No, Matt undid his own audio and was talking to nobody. But yeah, so tonight on our podcast, we have the great privilege to have a first-timer noob, Joshua Varney.
Hello.
And as always, we have Dave Foy.
How's it going?
All right, guys. So what has been up? Give us a quick rundown of your week while I do some sharing and such.
Dave.
Oh well, just as we previously mentioned in our previous go, yeah, I think Game of Thrones is kind of taken over everything really. Just watching it last night, well, yesterday morning actually. I kind of sneakily took the day off work and sat and watched it, which was great.
What do you mean sneakily took the day off work?
Well, I worked from home.
Right, okay.
I worked from home, so I did a bit of work while I was watching Game of Thrones, basically. So.
Yeah, I sneakily did the exact same thing on the Sunday morning. Well, Sunday night, Monday morning, depends how lack of sleep you have. But all I can say from the episode is Blizzard are probably looking at doing a patch right about now, I think, for that end scene.
Daniel Byrne says, "King of the North." Yes, Daniel, King of the North. That's.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get something. I'm gonna have to, my love of finding little videos on YouTube and posting them in our chat.
Yeah.
I find a fantastic one which fits in perfectly with the Dirty Dozen / Inglorious Bastards ending.
Oh, okay.
Of Game of Thrones, which is just incredible.
Okay, so everybody, if you're watching this, listening to this, this is going to be a Game of Thrones session with a bit of maybe Rick and Morty thrown in at the end. So if you haven't seen it, you haven't watched it yet, you don't want any spoilers, then fuck off, because that's what we're going to be talking about. So yeah, if you don't want it spoiled, piss off. So there you go.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
Such
sorry. I'm not. Yeah, what can I say? There you go. So yeah, I'm just going to do some quick sharing and stuff. So Josh, first podcast, how do you feel?
I'm feeling very relaxed, actually.
A bit too relaxed?
Well, the lingerie works quite well for me. I have
the worst image in my head right now, man.
So yes, it's quite relaxing, quiet house, beer to the left of me, phone to the right. I'm quite cool. I'm quite good.
Stuck in the middle with us.
Yeah,
in the middle of us. Two Irishmen and a Welshman. There you go. I don't think we've ever had a Welshman.
That's the worst bed sit ever.
I don't think we've ever had a Welshman on this podcast.
I can turn up the Welsh if you want.
Do you speak Welsh?
No.
Of course not. Of course not.
I can do really terrible Welsh. I can really put it on if I want to, but it just sounds really cliche as fuck.
We should totally do a sort of increased ethnic podcast. I think the really hype up the Welsh. I can do the full on Northern Ireland and talk like a shock, Belfast Spide.
All right, big man, what's going on, our mucker?
Matt can do his sort of bastardized Irish / Manchester.
All right, mate, nice one.
That'd be great.
It's like the worst joke imaginable. You've got a Welshman, an Irishman, and a Manc walk into a bar.
Oh, man. Daniel Byrne says, it did seem like John and crew were part of an RPG party.
It was the best tank ever, I've got to say.
It says, save the game and equip efficiently before going north. I love the meme. Classes you guys posted. It was rather amusing. That was thanks to Jamie McKellar. He told me to put that on there. Okay. So, who's up first? Who wants to talk about this week's episode? We don't generally have specific podcasts about Game of Thrones, but because shit's going down and we've literally got 2 episodes left and 1 series left, let's talk about it. Why not?
Well,
awesome.
the amazing inclusion of Eastwatch by the Sea to the opening credits was a nice eyesore, but it also actually sounds like the shittest Sun holiday package giveaway you could possibly imagine. Visit Eastwatch by the Sea.
Very good, yeah.
Which was
It's the Westerosian Clacton or something.
yeah. It's like the Daily Mail's free holiday giveaway. It's like we write crap, but we also give away terrible holidays. Tormund. Let's talk about Tormund, because I think his inclusion of "Did the giant woman come with you?" made me laugh my ass off.
Yeah, I think his sort of like love for Brienne is rather amusing. So just
It's still a better romance than Twilight.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I have my theory on what's going to happen next. So I'll throw it at you. This is what I think next episode is going to happen. Now, obviously, as time goes on, and obviously Littlefinger's been playing the game really well, and he fucked with Arya's shit. She's got superpowers, and he's all like, "I know what's happening," and he's like just playing her like a fiddle. But yeah, when they go across the wall, so this is what's going to happen. So they're all gonna go past the wall, and think they can get a straggler, a White Walker straggler somewhere, And what's gonna happen is they're gonna bump into the Night King's army, aren't they? There's lots of like videos of them fighting loads of them and running away and stuff. So they're blatantly gonna run into them, aren't they? So they're gonna run into the army. And they're going to get absolutely like hammered. So a couple of the non-named guys, the equivalent of the red shirts. Basically the wildling red shirts are going to get killed. We may see the end of one or two of the other guys. So I don't know, Thoros and Mir possibly.
Yeah,
I think they have to kill someone off. I mean, at least one of the characters. But yeah, I think maybe Dondarrion or Thoros probably the two suspects that you could probably think of.
I'm not sure. I don't know about Dondarrion. Maybe Thoros definitely. I think because if Thoros goes, then you've got no Red Priest to bring him back, and it might sort of hasten, Melisandre or one of the other Red Priestesses coming back.
Why would you take out the guy who's got a flaming sword? Come on.
But does Dondarrion have one as well?
Yeah, no, that's saying Dondarrion has one, but he's the one. He hasn't brought back. Thoros and Mir brings him back. So I reckon he's.
I take it he's fucked. If Jorah does die, he's fucked. He can't be brought back again.
Well, no, it's obviously him who's bringing him back, unless one of the other Red Priestesses can do it. So
right, but that's, I mean, does that not bring an added sort of storyline in there that obviously Jorah has been bringing him back again and again, but if Jorah dies and Dondarrion lives, and this is his last life essentially, so it adds that sort of
it's his last credit.
So Thoros isn't there to bring him back.
Yeah.
He's hitting the last boss. He's
lost part of himself.
Yeah. So that's it. So I reckon Thoros will die. That means he's more vulnerable. I reckon maybe I don't know if one of the Hound will die or not, but somebody else might die, and then they'll basically be running for their lives. They'll get to a point where Jon Snow's like, maybe send Gendry off and say, it's like, look, go and get help quickly because we're fucked. They're coming. They're really close. So he fucks off and gets help. And then Dany is all like, holy shit, the guy who I've only just met, but I'm kind of falling in love with. He sort of, she flies in with a couple of her dragons, and what will happen is one of them will get killed. One of the dragons will get killed when they're trying to save them, and that one will take the place.
Oh, really, man? Oh, really, man? Who came up with that idea?
What? Where was? I'm basing this actually on the book stuff. When there's meant to be an ice dragon within the wall, and the horn of winter is meant to bring it down and stuff. But because they're not using the horn of winter and the horn of summer, there's a good chance that they'll need it. So obviously, Night King or one of his underlings, they'll do something to take one down. I don't know if it'll be Drogon because he's already injured. It could be, but he's like the main guy. Possibly, you never know. So he'll be taken down. Dany will get them on her dragon. they'll leave, but Jon Snow will be all like, no, I've got to hold them back, because he's like that. He's that sort of guy. So he'll be like, they'll not be able to get to him. I don't know if they're on a frozen lake or something. They might get separated or something like that. And then
Benjen will come.
Yes, that's it. So basically, he's looked like he's on his own. Like, it's going to be Battle of the Bastards again. He's on his own. He's not going to survive. Benjen comes rocking up with flaming mace in hand, starts fucking shit up. And then there's obviously that scene in the clip of him on the Jon Snow on the horse.
On the horse, yeah.
So basically, he'll go, "Here's my horse. Get out of here." Benjen will basically fight them off because he says he'll do what he can. He'll fight them off. Jon Snow will escape, obviously injured. And then at that point, Dany will be all like, "Oh my God, you'll get him." You're like, "He's injured," and she'll like fall in love with him at that point in time. Be all like, because he's ill, and then that'll be it. I'm not 100% sure how it will turn out on the last episode. Part of me had it that the last episode will literally be the White Walkers either breaking the wall or circumventing the wall by going around it over a frozen water or something like that. But I'm not 100% sure now. With the whole sort of maybe amnesty with the Lannisters possibly happening, I'm not sure how it's going to sort of... Because that was a bit of a curveball, to be honest. I thought their storyline would be over by the end of this. I thought it would be Lannisters defeated, and then it would be a case of White Walkers war at the end. But
it's coming up soon. The clock is ticking on the Lannisters because Jaime's already had his near fire breathing death experience, and let's face it, the saving line for me was obviously the dragon's not going to kill you, she's not going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. Line kind of set it for me. I thought this is either the downfall of the Lannisters starting right now, or in the next episode, they're all going to die in fire.
I have a feeling, I mean, as I said to you last week, Matt, I thought that the season would end with the Queenslayer idea, so it would be Jaime would be the person who would kill Cersei. Yeah. But I thought that would be one of the big things to end the series. I have a feeling now they're going to drag it out into the next season. I think her being pregnant has kind of ramped it up slightly. So I think they're really going to play the whole that Jaime struggle with the fact that obviously she's carrying his baby, but she's still being an absolute, obviously every step that she takes further into madness is pushing him away further. And I think it was that lying to him in terms of, oh, we're having a baby, fantastic, that's hug. But then it was never betray me again. It was that dig, that little sort of dagger in the back, and you could see his face. And I think they're going to use that further in the next series. I have a feeling she's going to lose the baby quite quickly, because obviously the whole the prophecy of the fact she's not allowed to, she can't have any further kids, and I think that will drive her further into madness. But I think it'll play further into the next series. Again, I don't think she'll last very long. I just think they'll try to ramp up the effect. I think it is going to be that sort of poetic ending that the Queenslayer, from the Kingslayer to the Queenslayer. But I think she will survive this series. I think that the end of the series, I think you're 100% right when it comes to the next episode, Matt. I think I have a feeling it's going to be Viserion. Yeah, will be the one, because I think that they'll keep obviously Rhaegar. Rhaegon. I think it's going to be Jon will ride
Jon's dragon.
Jon's dragon. But I just have a feeling they'll kill off. I think as well, because it's the creamy white one. I think it would be quite cool to kill off. The creamy white one becomes the ice dragon.
Plus, it represents the dickhead. The brother.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Let's look at the bigger picture. Gendry is back.
Yeah.
Stop growing.
Yeah, it's just sort of. I'm not 100% sure where they're going to go with that. If it's going to be like another. I like the whole Stark, the Baratheon sort of Stark thing that they did. I like the fact that he just rocked up and he went, don't tell them who you are. You're Clevis and you're Clovis and you're that. And he went, I'm Gendry and I'm a motherfucking Baratheon. What you going to do about it? And he's like, all right, okay. And it's just like, yeah.
Someone put up a meme. I hadn't actually seen the episode before, but I saw this meme, and when I saw that section, I knew what it was. But it was someone had just put up hashtag Game of Thrones episode 5, and it was the bit from Step Brothers, as in, does this mean we're best friends now? Damn right. It was like that's exactly what it is.
Did that just happen? Yup. Did we just come to best friends? Yup. You want to go in the garage and kill some White Walkers? Yup.
Yep. But it's the Warhammer, I think, that got everybody kind of quivering, because let's face it, his father used a Warhammer with the Baratheon stag on it when he was fighting Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, which is obviously Jon's father, at the Battle of the Trident in the books.
Right.
So obviously he's picked up his father's favorite weapon, let's should say. So I can see a lot of reproductions being started as of yesterday.
By the next Comic-Con you go to, there'll be
Warhammers everywhere.
Warhammers everywhere.
There will be.
I just think they needed to get him in. They need to get him back. And I think that moment, to bring the Dirty Dozen together, well, not really a dozen, but, to bring the gang together for the raid, having him there is great. I just think, I don't know, I can imagine at the end of the series, or even quite soon, Jon or Daenerys, whoever really is in charge at the time, will just start, legitimizing people. So obviously, they'll legitimize Gendry, so he'll become the legitimate
they need a
Baratheon heir.
Yeah, they need a Baratheon to bring him, bring that house back.
And then maybe the same with Sam with the Tarleys.
That brings up another interesting point. So there's 2 points with Samwell. Obviously Gilly's sitting there talking about how Rhaegar had an annulment, and so basically that established it's definitely they got married. So he's definitely the rightful heir. Legitimate. Well, he's a legitimate Targaryen now. But it's the fact
he has the only legitimate claim in all of Westeros. If you look at it, he is the rightful king. Even obviously Gendry, the Baratheon line is dead. Even Gendry is technically still a bastard. Daenerys, she's a pure-born Targaryen, but she's a cousin. After Jon in line.
A cousin or no, a niece?
She's an aunt. She's his aunt.
Aunt, okay, yeah, because
she's his aunt. But obviously, if you look at it, it would have been the Mad King, and then it would have passed down to, because I think the elder son was killed with the Mad King, but then Rhaegar would have been the next in line. He was the crown prince, and obviously his son would then be the next in line. So Jon is the only person with a legitimate claim to the throne now.
The direct bloodline.
Yeah, well, that's gonna obviously that's a thing. So that kind of sort of shied over it slightly. But he gave the book to his kid, and then he brought all that shit with him on his little sort of his little cart. So I reckon what's happened, his kid's gonna be sitting there with this book, and somebody, I don't know, like Littlefinger's gonna pick it up and go, "What's that?" And go, or maybe Sansa or something, because there's actually we'll talk about Sansa in a bit. I'll go keep it with Samwell. Yeah. Obviously, his father and his brother being
roasted,
burnt alive. Now, obviously, his father was a dick and he didn't like him, but I think he quite liked his brother. And
Dickon was great.
Yeah. So the thing is,
was great. Yeah.
I reckon Sam's not going to be too impressed with Dany, and that's going to cause some issues. Part of me kind of wants Dany to go proper Mad King. Wants to go fuck this shit and just go crazy. She just literally descends into madness herself, and that's sort of like how the whole thing is. She literally turns into her father.
I think it could happen.
Yeah, I think it's going that way.
She is becoming a bit more sort of. She's not as sort of happy to sort of. I'm sort of hard to explain it. She
is fighting a war.
Yeah, the thing is, so I think she's trying to obviously impose herself as, I'm the queen. I've spent most of my life getting bossed around and told what to do, going from one place to another. I'm the queen. This is how it's going to be, and I understand that. But it's just, I think, she needs to. I just feel like she needs to go crazy.
Something's going to happen. I think what will end up happening is you can tell already she's gonna fall for John, right? That is gonna happen, you know. And I think it's she's gonna fall for John because he's the only one that stands up to her. Every other sort of man that she's been with since Khal Drogo has just been quite a bit of a sycophant. You know, they've always just sucked up to her and set her on this altar. So I think the fact that he stands up to her, he's refusing to bow the knee, that endears him to her. But I think she'll fall in love with him and everything will be great. And then the bombshell will be dropped that he's a Targaryen, that he's her nephew, and that he has the proper claim to the throne. And that'll just fuck everything over. So she'll have probably thought, oh yeah, I'm in this great position with a man I'm in love with, fantastic. And then bang, that's the rug's pulled out from under, and that's when I can see her going full mad queen. And I still have a feeling she'll be the big bad at the end.
And it could go the opposite
I
way.
don't know. I think Littlefinger will get in there, and he'll be all like, "Hey, Daenerys," and then she'll be all like, "Yeah, you know, you're on my side." Stabby, stabby, stabby.
Yeah,
and then it all happened, and then Matt's theory's right, and then 6 years of my life will be vindicated.
Matt, can I make one further a wee prediction about that?
Okay, go on. Then.
I think your idea is for the chop in the last episode. I have a feeling, and I have a feeling that Littlefinger is gonna get it.
Yeah, Arya's bound
Sansa,
to him.
or Arya or Sansa.
I think
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying. I think, you know, the last series is just going to be full on fucking war. It's going to be war because you've got the Night King, you've got the North and Dany in the middle, and you've got Cersei. I think, you know, there will be a bit of intrigue. Cersei will try to backstab them, whether it's bringing in the Golden Army and all that sort of stuff. I just have a feeling it'll be all out war, and it's only 5 episodes. I think they'll start killing off all of the sort of political intrigue, and I think Littlefinger will get it. They're trying to do that whole thing where it's obviously playing Arya and Sansa off against each other. I just have a feeling that they're going to make you think that they're really fighting and that they're falling apart. The Starks are falling apart, and then throw a curveball at the end, and it's just going to be, right, Littlefinger, you're fucked. We know what your game is, and that'll be it.
But see, the thing is, that's an obvious, though, that, like, as much as that makes a lot of sense, and to be honest, you know, that's the sort of thing they would probably throw in there, but it's the obvious sort of thing to happen, you know. It wouldn't be obvious for him to literally fuck them over, and then, you know, just be like, another Stark kid's dead, and, you know, it's just another Stark kid dead. I feel like...
I think if they maybe had like another 10-episode series, next series, and they didn't have... Right, we've got 5 episodes. Yeah, fair enough. It's each episode's an hour and a half long, but it's only 5 episodes, and it's the big war. It's everything that they've been building to. I just think they're going to clear the deck, just clear the chessboard, and it's only just going to be battle. And I think a lot of the sort of, as I said, the political intriguing, and you'll probably see other characters like Viserys, maybe, or sorry, what do you call her? Varys. You'll get people just dropping off the board, and it'll just be the main players. And I think Littlefinger and his wee, you know, machine, you know, his wee sort of manipulation and stuff, I think that's just it's served a purpose. And I think the last thing that his last throw of the dice is just trying to split up the Starks, and I just don't think it serves a purpose going forward.
The one theory I read about our wonderful Littlefinger is he's trying to seduce Sansa and getting ready to do the deeds. You know, he's finally going to get his end away, and Sansa stabs him with with this wonderful dagger. She peels her face off to reveal Arya, and I thought it was very Kill Bill-esque when she says, "Is this the kind of penetration you were after?" And it's the dagger he gave her. And if it pans out that way, I just want it to end with
thing is,
Tarantino extra.
I know, the thing is, deep down, I kind of know he probably will be killed, but I just don't want them to be, because it would be one of the best endings ever if he makes it through the end, because it's just that he has done so much. He's been from start to finish. He has had so much of a role to play in this game, that for him just to be, because he's not stupid. He doesn't make mistakes. Everything he does is completely calculated. As much as they've all got their little sort of superpowers and things like that, that's his. He is super smart. And I think, unless, you know, it's going to be hard to trick him, and I kind of really hope that I've heard rumors that he might die, and I just hope I hope they're wrong, because he's such a good character. He's such a good character, and it's just sort of, I know he doesn't have a lot to play in it, but everything he does just makes the series what it is.
Mm-hmm. I think your theory would work perfectly in the books, and I can see Martin towing that line. I really could, but I just think with the way the TV show is going, again, because it's that, it's the TV show is just right. That's all out, go like fuck till we get to the battle, and I think a lot of the sort of side plots and sort of background plots, I think which would work perfectly in the book, and I can imagine Martin keeping him right to the end. But I just think it's right. Clear the decks, fuck it, and I just think it's going to go that way, which is a shame, because he is a great character. I think his death would probably bring Sansa's character up even further, because it shows that she's not being manipulated, or she's above his manipulations. So then that potentially sets up trouble then, because she is then showed herself to be the proper Stark leader, and that will potentially cause more trouble between her and Jon in the next series. So that you might have that, so it might serve the purpose to build her character up even more.
Yeah.
But then you've got Euron Greyjoy using his wonderful horn to control dragons, the bastard.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
I would love to see that.
That would be good, and I think in the book that'll happen. I think he'll, it says he's got the Horn of Summer or something along. It's been years, 6 years since I read it, so it's something I think it's implied, or there's sort of views that he has the Horn of Summer. So it slightly annoys me that the books and the series may be completely different, but then conversely, at least that way, when I do read the book, I'll have something completely new to sort of to read. And apparently the endings obviously meant to sort of kind of knit together, meant to tie in, but how they get there will be different. But yeah, we'll see. Sansa, I think I don't know if she is going to, like you said, going to be manipulated and then just kind of go, wait a minute, we know you're talking shit, and Littlefinger will get it, or if she will literally turn Cersei of the North and start fucking shit up for Jon, because he's a Targaryen and not a Stark.
Mm. It's kind of what Arya's there for, as a security plan B type thing.
But I get the impression that maybe, part of me kind of wants this as well happening. What's his name? Fuck. From the Jagahar. No, Jagahar. Is it Jagahar? The guy from the Many-Faced God. Is it?
Oh, the Faceless Man.
Yeah, what's his name? If you're in the comments, somebody.
Somebody comment that name.
Yeah, I know it's Jagahar or something along those lines. I just get the, he's been left, she's gone, and she's fucked with his shit over in the House of, not the House of Undying, mixing
House of Many Faces.
Yeah, the House of Many Faces. That, she's gone in there, she's killed one of his guys, she's fucked his plans up, she's offended the Many-Faced God, and then she's just basically left, and he's just sort of give her this sort of like, right, okay. Part of me kind of hopes that this whole time he's actually killed Arya, and he's just wearing her face. He's gonna be, and he's just gonna get her back, and that's how he's gonna do it. And that the whole thing is just him, or like something like that. Maybe he's Littlefinger, or fuck, I don't know. He's Daenerys or something. I don't know. He's done something, and then he's just gonna rip that mask off. Scooby Doo sort of ending, sort of thing.
All you can see is Jon and Dany going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby Doo ending.
Yeah.
So, what about the rumor that Bran could be the Night King? Because that's been floating around.
I don't know how that could work, because they've shown him who becomes the Night King in the series.
But how do we know that's not Bran when he's older? And
it doesn't look anything like him, though. I'd have to. I think I can take the view that Bran he might be the reason why a lot of this shit happens. That maybe in the next series, there'll be a lot of sort of exposition needed, but exposition will be needed. Sorry, but in the next series, he will start fucking with time. He will try and help. They'll see the White Walkers, they're breaking through. The only thing that Bran can do is try and go back in time and help things. Now he knows he can affect, the timeline effectively. Well, he knows. Hodder, obviously, he created Hodder, and he was able to effectively sort of not talk to his dad, but he could hear him. And I think he might start doing things, and it might get to the point where he actually creates the whole thing. It might be that the White Walkers were created to defeat the First Men, and then he has something to do with them turning against the Children of the Forest and then starting the Long Night or something like that. I just don't see why him having that sort of power to affect time. I don't think they would just have it and then ignore it completely for the rest of the season. So well, I reckon something in there is gonna pop up.
The theory was it went very in depth, and I kind of only caught like the Cliff Notes version of it. But there's a scene where he's in the tree with the three-eyed raven, and he's walking back to when obviously the Night King was created by the Children of the Forest. And you can see they're both in the same position where she plunges the knife into his chest, and he's gripping onto the roots of the tree in this exact same position. And the theory was that he becomes so powerful as a warg that he is literally able, not just in mind and body, but he's in complete self, travels back to when this whole began. Because obviously when the three-eyed raven said, you can't walk, but you'll be able to fly, I mean, who's not to say that doesn't have him traveling back in time, which would make it more difficult, because to end the Night King, Jon Snow would have to kill Bran.
Possibly. That would sort of make sense.
Like a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
And then massive rift between Starks.
I just hope there's a sort of fucked up ending. I just don't want it to. I just do not want it to be a nice happy clappy ending. I want something bad to happen. I just part of me hopes so that HBO will go along the line, because most HBO series something messed up happens. They're quite good at doing that. So George R.R. Martin is good at that as well. So I know in the book they'll throw something like that in, but HBO might kind of go, shit, we don't want to do anything too sort of OTT because it might upset people. But then how do you get your sort of series talked about for the rest of the time? Have a Dallas moment. He wakes up in the shower and it's all a dream,
As I said last week.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. So it's just like,
I don't know, Matt. I don't know, Matt. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it's the whole Walking Dead new season. Negan has just struck Abraham. Everybody thinks Glenn is okay, and he says those magic words, let's get back to it, and wallop. And it'll be that kind of ending where everybody's having great and they're drinking wine, and all of a sudden that fucking music starts playing. Everybody's looking above to check for archers like I was doing in my hotel, and fuck that, that'll be it. There'll be another red wedding all over again, and it'll just end the series completely, and everybody going, fuck you, George Martin, fuck you.
I don't know. The thing is, I think people, there's two sets of expectations that are coming with this show. One, obviously, people expect that a series as the quality of Game of Thrones has to have a suitable ending. And if you look at a lot of the major sort of cultural shows over the past decade, when they've ended badly. That they've had that, great shows, The Sopranos, what else? Sopranos, The Wire, even what do you call it? Lost. There are these types of shows that are real sort of culture, that just zeitgeist sort of shows, but then the ending is always let it down, and there's always been this connotation. The X-Files is another one where it's just the ending is totally let it down, and it sullies the what people think of the show. And I think the makers of Game of Thrones are probably wary of that happening with Game of Thrones. So I don't think, from the purposes of HBO and the producers, they possibly don't want to throw in a really fucked up ending. because they wanted to end. Here's the definitive end. Bang, people are happy. Go away, and then the next thing, obviously, they're able to bring the prequel, the Targaryen prequel show that they're planning now.
Yeah.
But then at the other time, there's an expectation with the viewers now that Game of Thrones is that fucked up show where anything can happen, anyone can die. You expect the unexpected. So I think there is that expectation from the fans to go, right, there has to be a really fucked up ending where everyone's happy. They beat the Night King, Jon and Dany in some weird incestuous, typical Targaryen way, get married and that's ruled together and blah blah blah. And then there's another, Sansa just claps her hands and suddenly all around the room there's archers there and everyone dies. But again, it's just it's the struggle. I just can't see the makers risking ending it on a a strange way that isn't going to satisfy the majority of viewers and HBO as a studio, because they do have a really, no matter what Martin comes up with in the books, they have the final say in what's going to happen with the TV show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But again, that's what makes the books so good, because obviously you don't, Martin can just go on his own tangent, and it doesn't matter what happens in the show. Because to me, I mean, you look at what's happening with the books now. I mean, I'm looking forward to reading the next book because I want to see what happens with Jon. I don't think he's going to immediately just wake up, 2 episodes length later as they did in the TV show. I mean, I think they're going to play in the book to his ability to warg and his warging with Ghost, and they'll probably end up. I think it'll probably the whole book he'll be dead for the majority of the book. And if they do decide to bring him back,
Jon Snow will be dead for the Winds of Winter.
For the majority of it, I can imagine. I don't think Martin will want to follow the strands of the TV show, and just I think he'll want to make subtle differences so that readers will be compelled to read their book and not just go, oh, I won't bother reading it because I've seen what happens on the TV show. Mm-hmm. I think he will want to surprise people. I don't think although he has had a conversation with the producers to let them know where he's going, I don't think they've followed it, to the T. I think they've made their own subtle changes.
Well, George R. Martin's always said that whenever he's been asked, who's going to survive, who's going to die, and he has always said Vala Morghulis, and people don't seem to understand that keeps being said over and over, Vala Morghulis, all men must die. So it's that point that is Jon going to die? All men could literally die, and we could still have Sansa ruling the kingdoms, for God's sake. I mean, let's end on a high note.
Obviously, I'd see, because the chat's not working again, so I've just clicked into the chat on the thing. We've got a few people, so I'll just read some stuff out here. Mr. Byrne has told us it's Jack and Hagar. Yeah, so I was close enough. Yeah, it's the chap. Close enough. And he also says, I was hoping Gendry had arms the size of the mountain from all that rowing. And then he says it would have been awkward when Jorah first met Dany if she asked how he cured him. He says Sam Tarley cured my grayscale. Then Jon chimes in, oh, he's a good friend of mine, with Dany just standing there silently thinking of shit. I just made his brother and father burnt leathery bacon. Very good, Daniel. And then Daniel says, another Daniel, sorry. It's the Daniel I can pronounce your second name. Apologies, Daniel Perakowski, Daniel Smith. We're gonna, because I can't pronounce your. He comes along.
Daniel Snow.
What about Sam totally not noticing the fact that Jon Snow is not a bastard? Yeah, that was. That was the thing. But
I got a lot of my friends on Twitter, a lot of my sort of a lot of friends who are feminists, cynics going, Gilly finds the most important piece of information in the history of Game of Thrones, and Sam just blanks her, just ignores what she said. Typical man.
Yeah,
I just thought it was quite.
Let's face it though, Sam has been cleaning out shit for the last good couple of months while he's been there. He's a bit pissed off right about now.
while listening to Rocky 4 music.
that was brilliant. That was really good.
That's my favorite video I found in years. It really is.
Some quality music there. Some 80s cheese going on.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Does anybody else have anything to say about Game of Thrones before we move on? Maybe talk a bit of Rick and Morty and then end.
I'm just looking for. I cannot wait to. It's pretty shit because it's like, I can't wait to see how the rest of the series goes. But then that means that it's going to be over and I'll have to wait another year for the next series, which is just shit. But I really can't wait to see where they take it. I really can't. I think the next episode. I remembered to take a note earlier on, Matt, to kind of say, yeah, this is going to be Matt's favorite episode of Game of Thrones ever because it's essentially the Rogue One of Game of Thrones. Just the gang of all your favorite characters going on a suicide mission beyond the wall. It's going to be class. The only thing it needed was just Brienne and Jaime to be there, and it would have been like all of the badass characters of Game of Thrones going on this mission. I can't wait. It is going to be great. My favorite episode of Game of Thrones after everything is still Hard Home. Hard Home is everything that I could imagine on how you make TV correctly. Everything about it was incredible. It's the best piece of horror I've seen on TV in years, more so than any other horror Colin was a horror TV show. It was incredible, and I think I would love to see that as well, where it's less of a battle and more of a massive zombie / massacre happening. And I think with the dragons, finally getting to see the dragons fight the whites is going to be immense.
Yeah.
I think the last episode will be great as well because it's obviously setting the board with what's going to happen in the next series. I think there's going to be a lot of sort of salty, if it is the plan of everyone going to King's Landing and everyone being there and having everyone on the board in the same place, the subtlety of dialogue and people trying to make alliances behind each other people's backs. It's going to be great, and I can't wait to see the Hound versus the Mountain. I think the Hound's going to survive.
Do you actually think they're going to have a Clegane Bowl? Do you think it's going to happen?
Yes, absolutely.
I think the two battles that I want to see, the two battles I cannot wait to see, is one is the Mountain versus the Hound, and the last thing, I don't know if I said this last week, what I want to see is the last fucking battle in the whole of Game of Thrones. I want Gendry to reforge ice and give it to Jon Snow, and for Jon Snow to fight the Night King with ice in his hand with that fucking incredible sword.
Yes, but he would need Jaime's sword, and he would need Brienne's sword.
They'll give it up. Jaime is on the path. Jaime will come good, whether he is before or after he kills Cersei. Jaime will come good and join the battle because Jaime's going that way, and I just think that will be the final thing where it's Gendry's obviously going to make all the weapons. That's why they brought him in to forge the weapons. But I can imagine he can work with Valyrian steel. Imagine him just forging ice, the best sword, the sword from the first episode with Ned Stark. Yeah, and there he gives it to his natural successor, Jon Snow, fighting the Night King with that sword. Awesome.
I mean, if it is going to go that route, it'll be perfect, and it'll echo when Narsil is reforged into Anduril in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, totally.
Absolutely brilliant.
That'll be like two of my favoritist things coming together, and be like,
No, the only thing do you know what would make it actually perfect for you, Matt? And I can imagine you sitting in tears. Would be Jon Snow fighting the Night King, killing him, and then Ned Stark's ghost coming up and giving him a wink and a thumbs up, going, well done, son.
Yeah, it's perfect.
just to see Sean Bean back, and that'll be it.
Daniel Snow it says, different subject. Have you seen the lineup for the Wrexham Wales Comic-Con in December? Really great guests for a small con. And Daniel Snow, I'm going. I like it. You're going.
Well, who's going to be out?
I'm going.
Who's going to be there? Josh, do you know?
We've got Animal from obviously the Legion of Doom, Road Warriors. Got John Noble, so I'm extremely happy right about now. We've got Sting.
Sting as
The
in the
icon.
musician Sting or the wrestler,
wrestler?
Sting?
No, the wrestler Sting.
I was going to
I
say,
don't think-
he's really come. He's really sort of gone down. If you say he was rocking up to Wales Comic Con, you know,
He's going to come along and sing "Message in the Ball." Yeah. Message in the bottle.
the
Or he's walking on the moon or
the
something.
Machine Head version.
Walking
Well,
on the moon.
It's been held in a university, so you might just rock out going to do da 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 da, and everybody knows. But yeah, Wales Con, the guy who runs and owns it, Jamie Milner, he's a cracking guy, and the amount of guests he can get into one con, and it's good value for money as well, is amazing.
Yeah. I've only been to it once, to be honest. I think I've been to Wrexham Comic Con once, but it was quite small. It was many years ago, so it wasn't that sizable.
It's gotten better.
Yeah, it's got better. Okay, so so that's Game of Thrones then. So we'll move on. We've got next week.
We'll talk about it next week again, probably.
We'll talk about it next week, and then
Right.
it's going to be really upsetting because the last week it's on, Matt's going to be away. Let me just check. Oh no, Matt is not going to be away because we've got 2 more weeks of it, don't we?
Yes.
Yes. Ooh, literally the day after it's on, Matt's going away on the Tuesday. So it's going to be on the Monday, and Matt goes on holiday on the Tuesday. So that's all.
Yeah.
So no podcast to talk about the Fallout then?
I don't know. You guys could probably do it without me if it depends on what time I'm rocking off to the airport at. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll have another chat next week as well about Game of Thrones. See if our predictions have come true. If there's any more sort of kind of inklings that
Mr. Dragon Glass weapons.
Mr. Baelish is going to sort of end up on the chopping block, or if he's going to survive it or not. But
I think he's a goner.
no, I hope not.
I think
really
if
hope
the
not. I kind of part of me knows he is, but part of me really, really hopes. One, because I spent ages doing that piece, and I've been doing it for 6 years, and it sounded like such a good idea. In my defense, though, I did say it could happen in the book as well. So okay, it's like if it doesn't happen in the series, it could happen in the book.
Man, I still think your idea is very, very like it's very Martin-esque. You know, I think I can imagine, as I said, you know, Martin taking a different line, a less obvious line when it comes to the books. So I think you're still in luck when it comes to the books as opposed to the TV show.
Fingers crossed. Okay. So moving on quickly for the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. Has anybody watched the new series of Rick and Morty?
No.
No.
What? So we can't even talk about the new series of Rick and Morty? You
I
fuckers.
haven't watched a single episode of Rick and Morty.
What?
I have
Jesus.
2 young fucking children.
Josh, you need to watch that shit on your own. How do you watch your porn?
I have a laptop, dude, and a phone.
There you go. Watch them on that then.
You know, I can have happy snaps on my phone or at any time of fucking day, but when kids are around, mind you, I am literally on my own for 3 weeks because the kids are away.
There you go.
So
Easy,
maybe
easy.
I'll rock up the Netflix and watch a fucking episode, but
No, you haven't watched just one episode, man. You'll watch them all. It's amazing. It's absolutely the new
You'll
series.
get addicted.
The new series is just like the last episode. I will not completely ruin it for you or anything, but they sort of get invited to become like superheroes with these guys called Vindicators, and like Rick just fucks with them. It's just amazing. It's just like, this is brilliant. And there's one scene where Rick has had too much to drink and he's literally unconscious on a table where they're meant to have their sort of superhero meeting, and there's shit everywhere because he's shit himself. And I was just like, this is brilliant. It's just sort of, I love it.
the
Absolutely
only thing
love
about
it.
Rick and Morty I know is the fact is that everybody keeps going on about this fucking Szechuan
Sauce.
Mulan dipping sauce.
Szechuan sauce, yeah. It's man, you gotta watch it. It's seriously. I wasn't that bothered, and then I think it was last year's Play Expo. We had a loss of doing something. I got Netflix on, and Sean was like, "Oh, let's just stick on Rick and Morty." I'm like, and then we watched one episode and went, "Holy shit!" And we watched 2 series, literally back to back. Just watched them
See,
all.
that was my attitude. It's like Rick and Morty. I don't know.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. It was brilliant. And you know, the thing about it, and we say this like every Geek Pridecast has mention of Rick and Morty. Generally, we haven't said anything about Donald Trump in a while, but generally it's Rick and Morty and Donald Trump sort of things go on. But
Let's just leave
Yeah, let's
anything
leave
to
that
do with
where-
America right now. I
Yeah.
think that's,
Woo!
That's,
But yeah.
that's an Indiana Jones moment I don't want to get into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Rick and Morty
Fuck
is
Nazis.
it's funny as fuck, and it's totally sort of tongue in cheek. But then there's some really, like, it will sit there and hit you with some really sort of like messed up sort of moments, and then it hits you with really poignant, sort of sad and prosaic, sort of like thoughtful moments, and you're just like, holy shit, I wasn't expecting that. You know, like there's one episode where he sort of falls in love with it's a creature called Unity, who is basically she what does she do?
she's the Borg, essentially.
She's basically the Borg, yeah. So she basically she's basically the Borg, and she
Seven of nine.
she assimilates everybody. She's
a life form that basically assimilates all their life forms. She's kind of like the Invasively Body Snatchers.
Yeah. And so
almost,
basically,
but they all are in love with Rick.
Yeah, and she basically has this really unhealthy relationship with Rick, and you know, it all starts off all tongue in cheek. You know, he's getting messed up, and they do loads of drugs and they drink and stuff, and everything's great. And then it just realizes that she is like, she's like, he's cancer to her. She is not a good person around him, and they're not good people together. And so she basically leaves him. And there's a brilliant, and I can't remember the name of the song. I've got it on my Spotify and stuff. But they play this amazing song, and like basically Rick just sort of is in his garage. He does something. He screws in this sort of like red stone, and it kills something. And then he just puts his head underneath it like he's going to kill himself. And then obviously because he's drunk, and it blows up. I was just like, oh my god, man, that was absolutely insane. That was absolutely insane. But yeah. There you go.
It's very surreal. The whole thing flew over my head for a couple of, basically for the first two series. I hadn't seen the episode. You guys, when I started doing this podcast, you guys were just constantly talking about it, and I just was like, this sounds ridiculous. I really don't get it. And then, as I mentioned before, Jade, my girlfriend, was like, "Oh, sit and watch an episode." She really loves it, so I thought, right, I'll sit and watch one episode. It completely, again, went over my head. I didn't get it. I found it really confusing. I found it just just melted my head when I tried to watch it. But then I watched the next episode and the next episode, and it had references to old horror films that I love, references to They Live and Big Trouble in Little China and stuff like that, and it then just clicked with me, and I've now got myself, I'm in the middle of the second series, and I absolutely love it. It's just after the Get Swifty episode.
Yes.
It was on.
Yes.
It was the one that really I loved. I loved the one with the imaginary friends.
Oh man, that is brilliant with Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Mr. Poopy Butthole and Mr. Frankenstein, and it's just incredible. There's like an alien life form who infiltrates their house, who will live with them, and almost like the Thing. It's basically a version of the Thing, and it will interpret or mimic these other creatures and imprint memories, like old memories, with this creature in their heads, so they think that they've had like a full life with these weird inanimate objects and stuff. It's just incredible. But it's a stream of consciousness surrealism of just these random characters just appear out of nowhere, like a talking pencil and a fucking a
ghost in a jar.
A ghost in a jar
that was in Vietnam with them.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
Fucking hell.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
It is.
Like Ren and Stimpy on crack.
Yeah.
It is. It totally is.
It's messed up. It really is messed up, but it's so good. Really worth it. Definitely worth the go. Okay, cool. All right, since nobody else has really watched it, there's no point really carrying on with this conversation. So has anybody else got anything else they want to talk about before we vamoose?
How awesome is Atomic Blonde?
Not seen it yet.
Damn you.
I haven't seen it either. I loved John Wick and John Wick 2.
Yes.
I've heard that it's very similar, so it's one that I'm planning to go and see this weekend. So
Atomic Blonde is basically the female John Wick, but if you can imagine John Wick and the Last Kiss Goodnight, and they had a baby.
Excellent. I was sort of hemming in hand. We were meant to go and see it last weekend, but it fell through. So we were kind of hemming in hand between seeing it and Dunkirk. I still haven't seen Dunkirk yet.
Oh, Dave, amazing! It is so good. You need to go and see that. It's fucking brilliant.
It's just it's just trying to get Jade to go to it. I mean, Jade will go. You know, if I ask her nicely, she'll go. But it's just trying. You know, it's not a type of film that she would really enjoy, and I feel kind of bad dragging her to it.
Well,
so I was trying to
seriously,
get a
man,
time to go by myself.
I brought Louise with me to go and see it, and she is not into war films in any way, shape, or form. She doesn't like that sort of thing, and she thought it was brilliant. It's not really. It is a war film, but it's not. It's just super tense. There's not a lot of dialogue. There is a bit of fighting in it, but it's sort of interspersed with lots of sort of emotional points in it. It's like The Road in a way, how tense The Road is. You know, you're just like, fuck, this is grim. But it's kind of like that, but you do get a bit of release out of it. You know, but it's brilliant, man. I love that film. Really did. Daniel Snow says Dunkirk IMAX was immense. Yes, it was, Mr. Snow. Yes, it was. You do know something, Daniel Snow.
I really want to go and see it now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, it's not
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure about it at this moment in time. I just sort of, there's remakes of old horror films, and they haven't really been the best. So.
I'm a huge I'm a huge fan of the book. I mean, I non-stop read the book, and I really want to see what parts they kept, what parts they knocked out, and then what they changed completely. Because the Tim Curry TV special will always be my top favorite because it's Tim Curry. The whole turtle and Chud thing. I'll be very curious to see if they keep that or if they include that.
I'm actually because there's obviously quite a bit in the original book or in the book which would even nowadays with sort of obviously censorship not being a bit more lax, and obviously sex is featured heavily on TV and movies, but I think there's still that exactly. I think but I think the thing that might play with it is they're obviously they're really heavily influenced by Stranger Things.
Yes.
Which, to be honest, in itself is very heavily influenced by the book. So I think it's a great thing where Stranger Things came out and was the massive success that it was, and it's now enabled it to be remade in a way which will be fun. And I think from what I've seen, it has the possibility to be great. I'm still, unsure as I am with any remake. But I just don't want it to be the typical. I know horror movies nowadays, they're either weird and interesting and innovative and different, like It Follows and The Guest and You're Next and The Witch, and just strange, great, different horror films, or they're just the same carbon copy, cookie cutter, fucking Conjuring jump scare bullshit. And I'm just worried that it would become that, because it has, if you go by the source material and if you go by the current influences like Stranger Things, it can be such a different, weird, creepy horror film as opposed to jump scare every 2 seconds. And I just hope it doesn't go down that line.
No.
Daniel says that apparently Tim Curry's Pennywise is in the trailer briefly.
Yes, really? He is. Yeah, in I think it's the scene where I think Richie goes. I think it's Richie, or is it Stan? Goes into the room full of clowns. You can see Tim Curry's It clown costume in the corner.
Awesome.
So that was cool. But I've just realised 3 days and The Defenders is on Netflix.
Oh right, okay. I'm slightly worried about that, having not really liked Iron Fist that much. I didn't hate it. I just wasn't as good as like Daredevil and even Jessica Jones were cut high. Sort of like Daredevil is the pinnacle for amazing sort of series. Wasn't a massive fan of Luke Cage, to be honest, either. But out of them all,
Iron Fist was the weak one.
Iron Fist was the weak one, and I just kind of hope it's strengthened. But there's also the issue that because Disney's pulling the plug and starting their own streaming thing, we might not have any of these on Netflix anymore.
But there was a little sub disclaimer that Netflix have requested that they keep all Marvel films on Netflix. So they might get rid of like the Disney Frozen, Cars, and the animation side of Disney, but keep the studios related to Disney. So you've got like Marvel, Pixar, and that kind of thing remaining on Netflix while they take all their animation.
It is just going to be from what I've heard. The agreement is it is just going to be the animation and the Lucasfilm movies. So obviously Star Wars itself and anything associated with Star Wars will be kept under the Disney banner, but Marvel as an entity will be kept with Netflix because they do have ongoing agreements to make further shows. So they're happy to do that, but it's more Disney wants to bring all of its original material in house.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting, but at the same time, doesn't really bother me, to be honest.
Do you know what annoys me? These sort of things it's like Games Workshop and Fantasy Flight Games. You guys might not appreciate this, but it's like when they have two big companies working together, you get great stuff. You get amazing things. So Marvel and Sony working together, you got one of the best Spider-Man films that has come out. The fact that he's actually able to join up in the Marvel universe, sort of, is it the MC? Yeah,
Sony had bugger all to do with that. Sony had nothing to do with that.
I know, but at least they let
other than just.
Yeah, but they basically gave them the IP, so it's the same like with Fantasy Flight Games. Games Workshop said, "Here's our IP, go and create some board games and stuff." So they did a lot of board games for them and RPGs and things, and it was some really good stuff. And then Games Workshop kind of went, "Wait a minute, you're doing a really good job there. We want our stuff back." And they basically stopped the whole deal, and now they're pumping out their own board games and stuff, and they're just not Fantasy Flight games as much as I like both of them. They're just not the same, and it's the same with Disney and Netflix. Disney has a good partnership with Netflix. Now they're kind of going, whoa, wait a minute, we can cash in this, so let's do our own thing. And it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, I don't want to have 3 subscriptions and stuff just to see certain things and stuff. Why don't you just let them have it?
But the problem is Disney have already got their own app as well. I think it's like Disney Life or whatever it's called, where you can download it on Xbox, your laptop, or your phone, and you can watch all the Disney stuff on that, but you still have to pay a monthly premium. I think it's like £9.99 a month to watch all these things. So they already have this this venture going forward. So why they feel the need to do, we're doing Disney Netflix now, whether they're stopping the app or they're going to carry on with it is anybody's game.
The one thing I would say, this will probably only relate to America. Because Sky, as an entity in the UK, has massive contracts with Disney. Because obviously you get the Disney Channel as part of Sky, and you know yourself. If you compare UK Netflix to American Netflix, the UK Netflix, other than just its original TV shows, is absolutely decimated when it comes to films. Because of Sky Movies.
I did see somewhere that Netflix is going to open up their country borders on their app.
That's gonna be crazy because, as I said, like Sky have when Sky buy movies for Sky Movies, they have an exclusive contract, and if that does happen, that's potential breach of contract. Because the same thing for me is obviously WWE, massive wrestling fan, but with the WWE network, it can show any content, any archived content. But when it comes to current content, Sky, because they have this, contract with Sky, any new current contract has to go through Sky first. So it's the weekly TV shows and so on. You can't watch them on the network, even though you pay a subscription for that. So I think if Netflix do open it up, so it does go, there are no country or region breaks, that might open up some legal action from Sky.
Possibly, yes.
But fuck them, Sky are shite.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Let's leave it there. So we've got not another massive podcast. It was like 1 hour 20 last time. We completely overestimated that. But yeah. So I think we're going to leave it there. For anybody who's watching or who's going to be listening later on this week, we will be back with some more Game of Thrones stuff possibly on Tuesday again. At the same time, just so we can have a bit of banter, see what's happening, and then we might actually talk about Rick and Morty with people who've seen it.
Bring John.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll do that next week. But apart from that, I thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Make sure that you subscribe on the YouTube channels, the Twitters, the Facebooks, we're on iTunes and Google Play and everything. You can get us everywhere. And thanks a lot for joining us. I have been Matt Geary. Oh no, we did it! All right, okay. We're gonna do this, and we do this every time, and everyone's like, waiting. Who's gonna be next? So this is.
I always wait to the end because I'm always nice,
Okay, so what I'll do is then I'll cut this when I'm editing it. So I will go first, and then you will go, Josh, and then Dave will go. Okay. So thanks everybody for joining us. I've been Matt Geary.
I've been Josh Varney.
And I've been David Foy.
Night.
Ta.
See ya. Bye-bye.